For the first time in all of human history, mankind is politically awakened, and thus is obstructing our ability to deal effectively with the global political turmoil that this awakening is generating.
So back in October, a group of us shut down and occupied EDF's West Burton gas-fired power station for a week to be saved from the 20,000 tonnes of carbon.
We need to stop complying and start defying.
This is Darkcity Radio.
One of the most concerning things about this is that the police seem to have been talking directly with EDF, actually helping them to sue us.
This is Darkcity Radio.
East Sussex County Council then came up with a scheme of a link road.
I am eager to hear what you've done, how you've got there, how these backhanded. Well, I don't know whether there is a conspiracy or the left hand really doesn't know what the right hand is doing within our council offices,
This is Darkcity Radio.
They didn't have the proper licences in place to cut the hedgerows down or to take the stumps of the trees out. Public inquiry was, in my opinion, rigged. There was protesters in the trees.
If you lower yourself to the level of violence, then the strongest person wins.
And this whole state is controlled by a body of words created by the government, statutes and acts. We're policed by consent, and that means statutes and acts require our consent to be given the force of law.
There's so many corrupt angles going on from this, it's unbelievable, it really is. East Sussex County Council are just bullying through.
Well, good evening, folks. This is Resistance News, and I'm commonly called Bob Earthwise. Welcome to your news show, where you can netcast to all about your actions of resistance. And we're here every week on Darkcity Radio. DAs or direct actions drive progress, and whether it be from Rosa Parks on an Alabama bus to the tank man in Tiananmen Square, these are the people that have affected real societal change.
We don't need someone to come along and tell us how to live in our community. We've got to make a peaceful, honest, honourable stand to the best of our ability to stop this going on.
And now, please welcome the Darkcity Radio Resistance News Crew.
Well, good evening everyone out there. It's good to be back with you again, and it's a wickedly sunny day where I am. Clear blue skies for a nice change. It's been quite a few nice days really. Funny that the Bilderbergs are in town, so the weather's really good. I guess on Monday it'll all change when they leave. But I've been fortunate to have been in a field for a few weeks at a really, really nice gathering called Small World, and that's all totally run on renewable energy, wind and solar, and the food's really great and the people are amazing, so I'm quite chilled out now. However, getting back into urban life again, you get confronted with all the normal rubbish in the media. I'll go into that a bit later, but it'd be good to welcome Chris, who's back in the room again, and Lee is joining us, and of course we've got Paul. So welcome to you guys.
Hello everybody. Hello Bob. Hello Lee.
How do, guys?
Now, of course, if you want to join us, you're more than welcome. The usual Skype is Bob's Backyard, or if you're in the UK, it's 0161 298 0298. or if you're overseas, it's +44 161 298 0298. So if you want to join us, please do. Various topics we've got today. The first one is the BBC drip feed brainwashing of children. Somebody sent me a link to the BBC Children's News Round page, and on the page they're talking about tattoo electronic IDs. So you get them put on your arm and you can interface with all the equipment in your school, in your home, etc. through this electronic tattoo. And they were also talking about a type of pill that you could swallow that would do the same thing, though they did, I have to say that that was some time off in the future. But it's just worrying that, you know, that these pages are there for, you know, maybe 10 to 15-year-olds, and they're being drip fed with that sort of information, saying, hey, look, it's all okay. I don't know what you guys think about that. I mean, it absolutely appalled me. Anyone want to comment?
Well, as you know, Bob, I'm a tattoo artist. But I can't see them changing the legislation on the age of consent for a tattoo anytime soon. Is it actually an ink tattoo that breaks the skin? Do you know?
No, it's a stick-on. In the first instance, it's stick-on, so it's like RFID on the skin, not in the skin.
I see.
And I mean, in my opinion, it's to get everyone used to having this sort of control put over you. You ultimately,
I wonder why they're labelling it with word. It does make me wonder with them labelling it the word tattoo and it not actually being a tattoo, whether it's just... It does make me wonder when you say they're labelling it with the word tattoo when it isn't actually a traditional tattoo. It makes me wonder whether it's like a tiptoe towards a real tattoo.
Well, I guess it's easy for kids to identify with, because they have stick-on tattoos anyway, don't they?
Well, we've always had that.
It's magazines,
you know, they sell sweets when we were
sweets counter, and kids stick these things on their arms anyway. Not electronic ID ones, but ones, you know, because clearly a minor can't go and get an ink tattoo, but they're relating this to the similar sort of thing that you just stick on your arm, and that's what kids call tattoos. I don't think it's, you know, undermining your sort of work, Chris. It's just it's a kids directed news round program or page.
Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. Over the last 30 years, we have desensitised everyone to tattoos, and the taboo has gone, and now this comes out. It's kind of adding up to something quite horrific.
Well, I've no doubt that there'll be the odd one or two child that will go, hey, that's terrible, I'm not having anything to do with it. I was kind of like that when I was at school, when we had to read 1984. But the majority in my class then thought it was a good idea to have all this surveillance. So, you know, these things rub off, don't they? And it's not for the short term, it's all for the long term. It's for, you know, a 20-year, 30-year program.
Yeah.
And it's the way forward.
They'll slowly drip feed the parents into thinking that it's necessary. They'll slowly drip feed the children into thinking that it's cool. And hey presto, before you know it, it'll be normal.
I think it's more along the lines that it's these kids are soon going to be the parents of tomorrow. You know, it's a program. It's a long game that they play, isn't it? It's a long con, as people know it as.
Well, exactly. You know, I mean, my example of when I was at school, all the kids that were in my class are obviously a similar age to me now, so they've all got grown-up kids. And when the vast majority in their précis of the book stated categorically that they thought that it was a really good idea to keep a tab on everyone, it's little wonder that actually that's has come into reality to a great extent. So yeah, it is all long term, really long term. So what we see now as just a quick news thing, in reality will materialise in the next 20 years and be commonplace.
It's also, I've noticed that they're starting to bring in on I've got an 11-year-old, and they're starting to implement now group learning, where they put them into groups and they're not graded on their own anymore. Now this is obviously in Spain, it's a different setup to the UK. But it's just a worrying thing that they're grading as students together. My daughter's grades could be affected by having somebody else on the table, you know.
The grading we use in the UK schools at the moment is exactly the same one as adult
That then makes the well, then the stronger children will pick on the weaker children if the weaker children are bringing the stronger grades down, and they end up policing themselves. It's inverted totalitarianism.
Some children work better in
police
groups.
Ourselves.
Some children work.
Police. Excuse me.
Some children work better in groups. Some work better individually. Some work better in large groups. Some work better in the morning. Some work better in the afternoon.
That's exactly right. That's what I see it as well. It's like it should be working on. If there's kids that work well together, get them into a group together. If there's kids that will steam ahead on their own, let them be on their own, you know. It's down to that's what the teachers are supposedly high respected for, because they can bring that out of the kids, supposedly. But they seem to be sitting back a lot at the moment.
Trainers. The trainers, aren't they? They're not really teachers. The trainers. It's trainers and schooling.
They have to comply with the national curriculum, don't they, to a great extent. I mean, I guess that's the same in Spain. You know, everything's pretty standardised in Europe, and I've no doubt education is as well in the way that it works.
Yeah, obviously they've got the curriculums to set to, but the thing is, my ex, she went through university to become a teacher in Spain. She was a Spanish lady now, obviously. And so I got to see what she was learning as she came through, and all the different what they were teaching the teachers to know, you know, to get her through her grades to become a teacher. And it was quite surprising how they kind of like struck down and how to divide the kids down and things. But generally, a good teacher is a good listener. That's the be all and end all of it. They're good at seeing what they can see in the children, and listening and learning how to adapt for that child. But most of the teachers now are just following what says in the book, like most other parts of society, I suppose, isn't it? What the manual says is what I have to do.
Yeah, and of course the authorities keep changing the manual all the time as well. So there's never any form of continuity. You know, and it doesn't matter whether it's schools or hospitals come to that. In the UK anyway, for sure. You know, everything changes every few years and nobody really knows where they stand anymore.
Yeah, that's
curriculum. National curriculum modules are normally 100 20 questions within GCSE. A 10-year module is set up comprising of 1,200 questions, in which 10% of those questions are selected every year over a 10-year period. So each module is actually could be up to 10 years out of date, and then a new module's written. That's how it works. I did trigonometry, Bob. That was my job.
Yeah, that beggars belief, doesn't it, really? Finally, we could go back to having a flat world within 10 years and it wouldn't be in any of the examinations. Anyway, this all started with the BBC Kids page on Newsround. The BBC also, last week, on a Saturday night prime-time medical programme, stated categorically that cannabis was addictive and that it caused psychosis. And somebody sent me a link about that, and I had a little look at the programme, and they had one of the characters, I think she had MS and was using cannabis in cookies to self-medicate. And one of the nurses saw these cookies and thought, oh, I'll eat one of them, so did, and was then portrayed in the comical cartoon, munchy, out of your head state of having eaten one cookie. So, and then to state that it caused psychosis as well, that is just totally biased programming.
And if you want a bit more of it, part 2 is on tonight, I do believe, where one of the nurses discovers a cannabis farm.
Oh, right, okay. So, well, we'll have to catch up with that then, won't we? Because, they are going to town on it.
Well, there's what's the other tally.
No, I'm not supporting the paedophile ring. I don't care what they put on.
No, it's just interesting that this is happening now on, prime time drama. Really, it's what's rattled the cage, and I suspect it is what's happening with Rick. To be honest, I think that it's breaking so much new ground now that the corporate media feel they got to fight back somehow and reinforce the lies. Has anyone got a comment on that?
Well, yeah, I mean, Bob, if people want to watch the British bullshit channel, if that's what they want to do, then, of course they're going to think that cannabis is dangerous and war is fair play. I don't expect them to think anything else. I really don't think it's just because of Rick. I think, it'd be nice to think that we had an effect, but to be honest, I just think they're lying, cheating, thieving scumbob, and that's all they know how to do. Like I said, they are part of our family here on Earth, whatever you want to call it. We've got to sort something out, I suppose. But yeah, people who sit there watching paedophile rings deserve to be told nonsense.
Well, in an ideal world, a public service channel should be a public service, shouldn't it, really? And ought to be taking quite the opposite tack.
I think empowerment's a big thing, mate. That we can focus our energies together, and if we do, we can achieve virtually anything. Of course, most of us have got our own ideologies on what that should be. So, for instance, you've got people who support or against or for the Bilderbergs you mentioned earlier. They're all gathering together to worship the name of Bilderberg. It doesn't matter which way round you look at it. Those people are gathering together in the celebration of Bilderberg. Oh, Bilderbergy, all outside, all gathering up. And I believe some of them aren't even getting paid. They're actually going down there, right, celebrating in the Bloodlust family outside involved in their carnival. So they've gone to the Bilderberg Carnival to menstruate, or was it demonstrate? I mean, come on. And the irony I find is you've got people there who swear blind they are part of the truth movement. So that actually tells you straight away they have not yet arrived at the truth. They are still navigating towards it. And they're insisting they know what they're talking about. I find that preposterous. You know, not that people who watch the BBC might think that cannabis is bad for them, or, you know, I don't find that. I just think, yeah, that's pretty normal. That's how it is. And for us to get the so-called people who are supposed to be doing their best to bring forth change in our society, going down to the Bilderberg Festival, for however they justify their mentality of supporting these people in any way at all, even if it is through demonstration, even by mentioning their name. As far as I'm concerned, they've revealed themselves for what they really are, and the jury's back in. You know, that's it. Anyone who goes and supports that kind of stuff is completely and absolutely not got a clue about what they're doing. Not a clue. They really haven't.
Well, the other interesting thing is that this little festival that is supposed to be going on there at the same time is being allowed in the grounds as the same building that this supposed meeting's happening in. And given a lot of the trouble that little events have trying to get some sort of agreement to go on, that just seemed quite surprising as well. I've no idea who's organising it. I haven't investigated, but
I think it's quite a large bit of land, though, isn't it? I don't think they're within stone's throw or hailing distance of the building. Where the
I've no doubt they've got a ring of steel round the actual bit. That's assuming that the meeting's taking place there at all. I mean, the whole thing might be
The secret meeting, you mean, Bob?
Yeah. Well, it might be somewhere else, mightn't it?
It'd have to be, wouldn't it? You can't have a secret meeting that everybody knows where it is. How can you?
Have a whole bunch of people having a festival in the field next door.
But it's a secret. It's a psyops, Bob. The entire thing is set up to get you to run round and focus loads of energy on shit we can't do nothing about.
And to get your picture taken in the process.
Well, I'll take the picture if they want. I mean, you don't need to travel all that way and spend all that money if they don't, to get the picture taken.
No, I didn't mean that was necessarily a voluntary thing, but you know that all the fit teams are going to be there, aren't they?
Well, yeah, they need to get all the fans. They need to get all the fan base written down, don't they,
Yeah, exactly.
So, say there are people who are getting paid to do it, and I suggest that those people who are being paid jobs, the catering staff and the hotel staff and so forth, they're just people trying to make some money, the people who put on the PA and put up the metal fencing and all this. They're just normal everyday people. It's these people who go down there who say they demonstrate. How can you possibly go down in anything to do with it and say you're not supporting it? We've had these so-called truth movement people, the ones who are obviously still navigating towards the truth, they haven't arrived yet, splattering the name of these demonic fuckwits, because I can't call them anything else, all over the place. Hasn't anybody realised about their empowerment? So, sometimes, Bob, I just think, well, fine, just let them get on with it. Just let them get on with it, We're gonna give this group of people, and we're gonna make them world renowned. We're gonna ensue a fear of this name of the Illuminati and the covert hidden what? I mean, they told me I'm gonna die of pig flu, cow flu, chicken flu, bird flu. The Earth's gonna blow up. I'm gonna be hit by a rock. There's gonna be a giant. Oh, I give up. I reckon we're already dead. We must be. And that our great benefactor, a massive benefactor here to Darkcity Radio, David Icke, was actually correct in his truth statement that the world would end in 1997. I mean, these are the people that they're going to listen to. I mean...
Yeah. Well...
Poor Alex Jones. You know what an ambassador of truth that man was. You know, and now look at him. He can't come on Darkcity. He's not allowed. They're not allowed to come here and speak on Darkcity. Not by us, but by the people who handle them now. You know, we've asked ourselves why they haven't supported us. That's the reason. It's as simple as that. They're not allowed to. Their handlers won't let them. They have to get clearance and make sure it's okay before they're allowed to do things. Where, as you pointed out, Bob, all you've got to do here is ring the number. It's that easy.
Yeah. Well, that's the beauty of this radio station, isn't it? It's everyone's and anyone can join in. Unless your handler says no. There's one other quick little thing that I wanted to get in before the halfway music break, and that is smart meters. These are a modern Trojan horse. They are not only damaging to your privacy, but damaging to your health as well. And the government is trying to get all the metering companies to get these things installed in everyone's house, regardless of health or data privacy risks. I was reading that the MPs, one of their committees, have been told about the risks, smart meter risks, and have delayed the UK rollout by over a year. So that's pretty good. It gives us a bit more time to do what needs to be done, and really you need to write to your electric supplier and tell them you don't want one. It's as easy as that. Once you've done that, they can't really come and put one in, and as long as your meter's inside as opposed to these outside ones, you should be okay. But if you have an outside one, you've got to keep an eye on it, because they'll just come round and swap it over without even letting you know. Interestingly, I swapped over to Ecotricity, and they have no interest in smart meters whatsoever, according to the guy that signed me up. So I was quite interested to hear that they, I mean, obviously if they're compelled by the government to start putting them in, then that's another thing. But they were interested in the fact that not only myself, but a number of other people have, you know, categorically said that we do not want smart meters in our homes. I don't know if anyone else has come across this, but it is a really dangerous bit of technology. Do you have them in Spain, Lee?
No, not as yet. One thing I did read about them is that the ability to be able to cut down on supplies. You know how you have hose pipe bans now. If they ever needed to cut down on electricity output, they could literally turn down everybody's daily input of electricity, which was pretty worrying aspect.
Well,
Earth loop. If you look at Earth loops, RF field builds up. Anyone who's studied radio, RF radio, whether it be FM, AM, sideband, upper or lower, and used linear amplification equipment, will be aware that Earth can build up a loop within the Earth, RF energy, and that's within the Earth in your house. You can dissipate this energy by making what they call an Earth loop. This is a loop of wire that runs round your station and then runs to a copper earthing pole, which is normally 4 to 5 foot long, driven into the ground outside. You can actually buy these implements. I don't know if they're solid copper anymore, but there's some kind of alloy, and you can put yourself an earthing loop in, which you would do for any resonant high RF field. Of course, these RF fields have been used now for hundreds of years, ranging from very low to incredibly high frequencies, so over the gigahertz range, so well over 1,000 megahertz. without any adverse effects to anybody. No radio operator has ever suffered from. I mean, people have got RF burns, of course. This can happen. But I'm at a loss for what it is that these RF transmitters are going to do, because what is it? The what? The damaging what? Because they transmit on what frequency? I'm a bit of a loss, me, to what it is that's going to get us this time.
They
Bob.
transmit on G3 mobile phone network frequencies. Only it's right in your house, and it's
Which is 900 and something megahertz, yeah? Is it?
I couldn't tell you exactly what the.
I think it's a couple of bands in there. Is it 4.325 and 9.8 something?
The fact they do it, and the fact that they eventually all electric equipment will have this little device in it telling the grid that it's being used. So all this data about what equipment you use and when and how often you open your fridge and all that sort of thing will be logged and stored somewhere. And I think it's an intrusion too far.
Get a caravan.
Sorry?
You get a caravan. We said this about all this data tracking they're doing on the internet. Send them a letter. You know? You just got to reverse the technology, haven't you? You just got to, underhack it. Don't overhack it, underhack it. Don't go through the front door, go in through the back door.
Well, that's evidently what the governments are doing, isn't it? They got agreement with some of these major internet companies to do exactly that.
I hope they've got some good data encryption on their meters if they're going to use a radio frequency to send bills around, I'm telling you. They must have some incredible data security on there, because I'm telling you, it won't take me long to be able to tell them that they owe me a fortune. You've only got to get the handshake.
I don't think the meters send the bill, it just keeps a track exactly of your usage.
Brilliant.
Great stuff. As opposed to what happens now, which, you get your meter read every now and again, and they know that you've used so many units in so many months.
Well, if you look at RF shielded paint and so forth, it's available in materials now which are available. Quite common in Germany. There's a lot of German manufacturers of these RF shielding products. So you just make yourself a nice little box, like you have around your electric meter now currently, and put it as an RF shielded box, and then the problem's solved.
It's a lot cheaper and easier just to say no, though, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, if there was somebody banging on my door trying to put one in now, then yeah, I mean, obviously, no, I'm all right, thanks. Okay, yeah, I mean, the truth of it is, I mean, if you really want to get down the metering line, listen to the people on Get Out of Debt Free, their website. Because they've actually installed their own meters.
Yeah, I was reading that.
And so their entire metering scenario is bogus anyway. I mean, it really is. So the electric companies, as we know them, are not companies. They're just billing companies. They don't produce electricity. They just buy. Well, they don't even buy it. They just pay us for the billing, just to bill us. That's all they're charging us for. And the electricity we're paying for, the majority of it goes outside the country. Produced here, but owned by foreign companies.
Yeah, well, the majority gets lost in transmission, doesn't it? It just disappears out the grid.
Mm-hmm. Well, pushing electricity down a copper wire, as we do, is a very inefficient way of distributing electricity.
Absolutely.
But it means you can distribute it from a central place, and then you can meter it all. Where obviously localised energy production would be a lot more efficient, even using the system we've got now. And that's why we've got hundreds of substations all over the country.
Well, I don't know, it sounds like it'd be a good time to have that little bit of music, Paul, if that's good with you.
Yep.
Nice one. Well, enjoy the
music's on.
And we'll be back after.
been listening to lies all my life. Time to turn off that road. Join the side of justice, free from remote control. Radio independence, get the real news. Listen to the free radio, make up your mind and choose. Selling the information, patenting the ideas, controlling communication, persuading us that we're free. Radio independence, get the real news. Listen to the free radio, make up your mind and choose. Listen to the free radio, make up your mind and choose. If you don't want to wear a barcode, you don't want your genes on file, if you don't want the voice of America, you've got to retune the dial to Radio Independence. Get the real news. Listen to the free radio, make up your mind and choose. Radio Independence. Get the real news. Listen to the free radio, make up your mind and choose. Listen to the free radio, make up your mind and choose. When at last the people are free to be who we want to be, we'll take away all our pain and we'll go dancing in the rain.
Everyone, I really do like that song. Kind of sums it up. The more you listen to it, the deeper you find the lyrics go. Pretty cool. Right, Hollywood and vampires and zombies. Now, this has been something that's been playing on my mind for a little while. I mean, I'm sure we all know a whole bunch of people that we think of as zombies. Hollywood's portrayal of it is just picture language for people that in everyday life wander around where the universe totally revolves around them. They can't see what's going on and are oblivious to everything. I think the zombie apocalypse is really here now. And of course it's reinforced through stuff that's added to water, to foods, and it helps get people into this state of ignoring everything, really. So I don't know if any of you guys have got any experience of zombies. I mean, they can be driving cars quite often, pushing supermarket trolleys about, you know, all sorts of things. Have any of you guys got a story on zombies? Am I the only one here?
No, I was just trying to think, and I can't really think of any of that sort of zombie so zoned out into just basicness.
Our Darkcity survey says...
Oh, the server's gone, is it?
No, survey. Our Darkcity
Oh,
survey.
survey.
Yes. It was a joke, Bob, but never mind.
Well, you know, I mean, maybe it's just me, I come across zombie-type characters all the time.
Yeah, sorry, I was just about to say, my missus and my daughter, they're right into their vampire shows and things like that, and zombies. And it kind of like, realisation came to me. I was just watching, is it Game of Thrones or something? And there was a dragon queen, and I was kind of like sat there, and I always take the mick out of them going on about their vampires, about, look, you know, it's just bloody authors' stories, it's not real, because obviously I've got a young daughter. And now I'm sitting there getting all into all the older worldy stuff, and oh yeah, but there's dragons, you know, real dragons. And then I kind of like thought to myself, well, yeah, okay, I've just been sucking into the same belief thing just because of my emotions, you know.
Well, vampires, that's the other part of the equation that I was going to talk about, because I did watch a film called Daybreakers recently, and it just suddenly struck me that Hollywood's depiction, the picture language used for vampires, depicts what's happening in reality. And there are two types of vampires. There's the legal corporate vampire, which is designed to alleviate you of as much stuff as possible. And then there's the psychopath vampire, which often controls the legal corporate, but they're just totally without empathy, have no remorse, and they will do anything to get their own way, and often are politicians and senior industrialists, etc., etc. And you know, you see these people all the time, particularly on the news. They're oblivious to anything, any form of compassion, empathy, and they just don't care about the rest of us at the end of the day. And it's quite a high percentage of mankind are psychopaths, and they always manage to get into these power things. So yeah, Hollywood's kind of being like the Bible, really. It's written, the Bible was written in picture language so it could be spoken about by people that couldn't read, so it was always an interpretation. Hollywood's, in my opinion, is no different. It's providing picture language of situations that are current, but in such a way that you will ignore the reality. How do you guys feel about that?
I'm actually really interested in vampires, Bob. I think I've pondered on vampires a lot. There's loads of avenues with this, because you get energy vampires, and everyone does that. I think the original portrayal of vampires was kind of, it's like man trying to make sense of themselves and certain facets of themselves. It's like a metaphor. It's almost like in like a god thing, like in paganism and Hinduism, when they separate facets of things to make sense of them. It's actually quite a complicated subject, and it's a metaphor for sex as well. Is that part of it?
It's also used to open up the consciousness, these things, to get people perceiving that these things do occur. Once you're open to this, then of course, then you're open to this. The vampiric inter-exchange of energy. Of course, yeah, I'd agree with you, Bob. It can be seen within the financial institutions, but more so between relationships between so-called loving couples. The vampiric nature of what we would call a relationship is when you step away from it and have a look, you've got to ask yourself why you get involved in such things at all. Yeah, Jabber on Babylon Decoded had a gentleman the other day, excuse me, you know what I'm like with names, but cracking show, and he covered the psychopath and how the psychopaths work, and how that we take on psychopathic tendencies just to fit in. We really don't, but it's not how we should live. So he covered it really well, opened my eyes to a few things. So yeah, I've lived with a psychopath. My ex-wife for 23 years, she's prepared to do anything to get her own way. Anything. It doesn't matter. So yeah, it's not a nice thing to do. It's not a nice thing to wake up to, but yeah, that's where we are. And it's something we can do something about. Each one of us can do something about this.
As far as I'm aware, the only way is to ignore them, isn't it?
Once you've opened yourselves up and been introduced to the fact that you're actually being fed on by some form of vampiric person or entity, what you do then is ignore it.
Well, you prevent it consuming you.
Yeah, I suppose we could have people running round and drawing circles on the ground with salt, Bob, couldn't we? And perhaps having the drums. It really is very, very low-level magic, to want of a better word. That's what it is. It opens up individuals to the fact that there's something out there that can harm or damage them, where the true nature is every one of us has an abundance of energy. You never need it from anybody else, and, you know, it is. That's the true nature of it. Every one of us is abundant in energy right now. And the ideology in itself that you can take or someone can take from you, in my mind, is preposterous.
Some people don't realise they're doing it, though. Like everyday people. Sort of thing.
Doing what?
Stealing people's energy.
You can. Your energy carries a unique magnetic signature. You can check it out. You carry a specific frequency. That energy it can't be given away. You know, you can't chop a piece of your energy off and flirt it and give it to somebody else. It's irreparably connected together. Your thought form connects it to that person. It's still your energy.
It's like what winning an argument is, though, isn't it? It's like a stealing of energy. Some people don't realise they're doing it, and some people don't realise it's being taken from them until, you know, it is, and then you stop it.
But they'd have to be open to the inter-exchange of energy, wouldn't they, Maurice? And something must have opened them up to that perspective.
I think there's a subliminal thing, though, you know, people who love and like to be right, and then when they slam down an argument and someone can't come back to them, they get power rush then because they've
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what you'd say is if somebody comes up, right, like I've done now, for instance, with like, well, as far as I'm concerned, these are just really low-level ways of opening people to fear. Okay? That's what I'm doing. So, and that argument stands pretty rigid. And you think I can get a power rush out of that?
No, not easy.
Well, I don't understand the way it works.
Well, you've got to look at conscious awareness.
No, energy does exactly what I tell it to. You don't need to be aware of that.
People who aren't aware of stealing.
Well, who are these people who aren't aware of it?
Well, a lot of the everyday.
Again, that's what you'd be like to think, that a lot of people aren't aware that it's going on, but most people are aware of that it's going on. At least the people I speak to are quite well aware of it. There does seem to be a lot of people running around telling other people that they need to be aware of something that they're already aware of. There seems to be a lot of that. So yeah, that's my, I mean, I know it's a lot.
When you hear the sound, when you hear the sound,
do not worry about what you think.
When you hear the sound, when you hear the sound of Darkcity Radio,
well, it makes no difference in my view. Verbally, mentally off.
When you hear the sound, when you hear the sound, when you hear the sound, when you hear the sound of Darkcity Radio, you know what to do. You and your family must take cover immediately.
The initial flash from the explosion can burn the skin and cause blindness.
People don't like it. All it is, low level magic. They're walking themselves up to there's only one thing. Ourselves.
I've just had a quick call from Boris, and he says there's jingles playing all over the top of the chat.
Yeah, there was. Thank you, Boris. There isn't now.
Oh, nice one. So I don't know whether that's gone right from the beginning.
No, it would have been. It's just come on. You've just had about 3 minutes of the Darkcity jingle playing, Bob.
Cool. I kind of lost the thread in that now. Vampires and zombies.
It was all right. The actual jingle was Darkcity Imminent Attack, and we were actually talking about people. And my argument there, Bobby, is that it's low-level magic, and it's just to get people to be open to fear that there's something out there going to get them.
Well, that's the Hollywood interpretation of it. But, my point really was that's just picture language of what is in reality out there. And, when you can identify it, it's quite apparent. The various two types of vampires, and the fact that, people are being dumbed down, really. And it, on every level. So I guess we've talked that one out.
Yeah, well, I can go on about it for hours, but let's not.
Well, have any of you guys got a little news item that you want to bring up? Whoa, nobody.
Well, again, Bob, I've always got something for you. Ashton Magistrates Court on Wednesday. Ashton Magistrates Court on Wednesday at 10 p.m. Star-Lord, and that is his name, will be demanding he actually gets a hearing over his council tax. This is where they've issuing council tax demands to people on benefits. Within 30 days, they're being given court summonses and then charged £70 for a council officer telling them that, yes, they haven't paid, it's going to cost them £70. They're not actually getting the hearing, so he's going to insist on a hearing. So there's quite a few of us going to be going down there to support him. Or at least a few people have pledged they will be going down there. Whether they actually turn up on the day or not, I don't know. So it is a fancy dress party, of course. It is in a county court, so please come wearing fancy dress. And what does it say? Protest against the council in fancy dress. Please make sure you're wearing a hat. So, yeah, that's on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, the 12th. Is that Wednesday?
It 10 a.m. or 10 p.m.?
The courts don't open at the night in Manchester, Bob.
That's what I thought. I thought you had said 10 p.m. and
Did I? Oh no, of course it's 10 a.m. Yes, of course it would be 10 a.m. My mistake. Excuse me. And I know they're busy and they like to make money, but I don't think they do 24-hour. Oh, hang on a minute, maybe they do actually, Bob. I'll come back to you on that.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me, the amount of people that are suddenly getting hit with somewhere between 8 and 20% of their council tax all of a sudden. It takes a bit of finding, doesn't it? And there must be, thousands and thousands of people that just can't afford to pay it, let alone the 70 quid.
I'm exempt, Bob, and they won't tell me why. I have asked them on several occasions why I'm actually exempt, and I have not yet been able to find out why I'm exempt, but I'm exempt. Or the property's exempt. So, don't know.
That's a curious one. I'm not exempt. I don't know how you would become exempt.
Apparently churches are exempt, and maybe I've become a church, and I didn't know, because maybe they are. I've mentioned Reverend too often, and this is consecrated ground, of course.
Well, isn't that what happens when you become free man of a city? You get exempted of all local taxation.
Oh, that could be it then.
So maybe they've done that to you.
Maybe they have, Bob, yes. I wouldn't know. No, frankly, do I give a damn dear?
Well, I think that'd be jolly nice of them if they'd done that for you.
No, I don't, Bob. They'll just be taking it out of somebody else's pocket who's less fortunate than me. They never pay for anything, nor have they ever paid for anything. And they never will. We've paid for everything. They make it look like I'm getting a good deal or somebody else is getting a good deal at somebody else's cost. It's like playing a fruit machine in a pub. The only way you ever win is at somebody else's misfortune.
Back to vampires again.
You'll have to help me then. How did we jump back to vampires then?
Purely by the fact that the council just takes and takes and takes and never produces anything of its own.
Alright, okay Bob, I will surround the local council offices with holy water and garlic. That'll sort them out.
A few steaks. No, it's the legal vampire, isn't it? I mean, a lot of the people that are in there aren't psychopaths, and they're just doing it as a job, like you mentioned before. You know, it's their job. I mean, the psychopaths are the ones that are making all the policy to bleed everyone that's within their remit of as much as possible. The vampires. Anyway, I guess we must be running up against the end of the show now. So, is that right, Paul?
You can go as long as you want, Bob. We've got a Darkcity coming up, but you know we've made a bit of a booby there. So if you want a bit, you're welcome, mate. Play it by ear, whatever you like. But yeah, officially you've got a minute.
Okay, well, we will finish up. If anyone has got any other news items at all that they want to bring up next week, please let us know. You could, if you wish, use the Skype at Bob's Backyard or 0161 298 0298 to call in during the next show. So I hope you all have a good week, and we shall be back next week with a whole bunch more news stories. Have a good one.